Let me ask you something. Do you ever feel like you're capable of more, but something keeps on holding you back? That's where Phil comes in. Phil is a professional master coach and a master practitioner in NLP, timeline therapy and hypnotherapy with years of real-world experience building and growing businesses. His passion is simple: helping you reimagine your life or your business, break through limitations and build unstoppable momentum for good. Whether you want a powerful one-off session or ongoing support where Phil walks you through every step of the way, everything is tailored to you and your goals. If you're ready for real, lasting change, Phil might be exactly who you've been looking for. To find out more of what Phil does, just visit philhanlon.com for more information. George & Co. create crafted spaces that stand the test of time. Royal Society of Architects Wales award winners and Wales Home of the Year regional winners. Featured on TV and in leading magazines, they are based in Merthyr and Swansea, designing exceptional homes across Wales. They proudly sponsor today's episode. Right, we'll officially start then.
Come on then.
Start.
T minus whatever.
Yes.
Had some technical difficulties, but away we go.
Away we go. It keeps me on my toes.
We may have to have a wide angle shot for the episode because he's too handsome to have close ups.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here we go.
There we go.
Happy days. We're back at Grounded. I always do that as if there's a logo behind it. There isn't.
It's not Haystack.
No, I know. But yeah, we're back at Grounded Coffee and Wellness in Sebastopol, which is Cwmbran Pontypool way for anyone that doesn't know where that is.
The locals do. The locals will say Sebastopol.
Oh, the locals will get nasty about it. We'll have hate mail and pitchforks and all shit. But yeah, so cheers to Matt and the guys from Tidy Bit for providing us a space to do what we love to do.
Yes.
We are really, I think, privileged today to be able to be joined by, an individual who I'd be honest, the more I find out about, the more I'm just like, why haven't we had you on earlier? Lennon Greggains. How are you?
Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I'm excited.
Good.
Get going.
Yeah.
Finally.
Well, he does now, because what you don't realise is it's been recorded 3 a.m. We've been here since 7. No, so I'm aware you've kind of you've got your links certainly to mental health and well-being. I think that's a good place to jump in, because we'll get onto the rugby. We'll get onto the rugby stuff as we move along. That rugby stuff that you kind of did. But yeah, I think it's really cool that you've got to a place where you feel like you want to talk, you want to share, and that you're going to use the platforms that you have to be able to do that. Like I said, I listened to, I think your debut podcast, which was Modern Dads Unplugged. So big shout out to those as well, because what they're doing is really cool. I suppose why now? Why now?
Well, I went, like I said, we'll go into detail about the rugby stuff later, but I went for a really, really bad 12 months with my mental health, and when I made the step of leaving the role I was in another job to become a PT, it was more than just helping people become physically stronger. It was a lot more than that I wanted to get across. So I did spend, if you look back on my posts from the get-go, I was always just taking time writing up captions and trying to hit people where I feel like I needed to hit them in terms of like a lot of mental stuff I was trying to get across. But this year I thought I need to start speaking a little bit more. I need to get my point across where people can connect to me a little bit better. So I did, like we just said then, I did my first podcast, I think it was about 6 weeks ago now. And it was great. Like I felt it went the way I wanted it to go. I didn't plan. I didn't plan what I was going to say in this one.
No.
I just let it flow a little bit, but
It works better sometimes.
it's definitely important for me because being around so many people every day, you know, I'm seeing more and more people struggling. People are struggling and not everyone feels confident opening up and talking about it.
Yeah.
So if someone who now is at a point where I feel comfortable telling my story, I feel comfortable talking about my mental health issues, which I still have today. If I can just help people out there, I'm not doing it for my benefit. I'm doing it for other people's benefit. And that's what I do care about a lot.
Yeah.
I think as well, you know, do you feel that there's a kind of an added pressure almost because you've got a level of kind of name recognition and you've got a platform and you've got a strong following and the people know your story, whether it be on a podcast or Wales Online or know you personally. Do you think there's an added element of pressure because you're kind of a public figure in so many ways?
Pressure in terms of what?
In terms of kind of what you say will be listened to by people. So it has to be like quote unquote right, as it were.
Yeah. I think I've realized the more I've put myself, people want to listen to people's real stories, and sometimes that story's not going to be perfect. Like, I'm far from a perfect person, and I think more towards the start I'd put things out there which I thought was the right way of saying it. But like I said, when I've started doing my podcast and stuff, I think people genuinely want to listen to people's stories, and even if it's not said in a perfect way, people, especially like being from South Wales, people want to listen to people's proper stories and the way they actually are, instead of speaking in a certain kind of manner.
Yeah,
that's exactly like that's what the whole reason why we started this one is. Our tagline sort of thing is real people telling real stories
because we figured out, didn't we, pretty soon on when we done a couple of episodes and we were like, what's drawing people in is that they are real people. They are people that people are friends with and who know or that they can relate to them, even if they have got some degree of celebrity or whatever. That the stories are universal. They can be applied to anybody. Obviously, your journey, we can't sit here and not talk rugby, which always feels a bit foreign for me because I can't play. I did have the cleanest rugby kit in school. I still had a crease in the shorts.
What position were you?
I was on the side a lot.
The bench warmer.
I used to hold the boys' coats, and offer to go and get snacks. But I was always told I'd be a good prop, solely because I was tall.
Yeah.
But they were the same people who said I'd be good at basketball, and I was shit at that as well. So rugby is, as you kind of documented it elsewhere, but rugby was and is such an integral part to your story. It's also a lot of who you are as a person and identity-wise. So I suppose for those who aren't aware, what's a kind of a crib sheet, as it were, kind of like a rundown of how rugby unfolded?
Yeah, I think this is still important for me to talk about. I've only really gone into detail about the rugby things in the podcast I did last time and the Wales Online article I put out. My social media stuff now is a lot driven towards the mental health and the physical health side of things. So I don't really go into too much detail about it. But like I said previous, and I feel a little bit bad, and I'll talk about my family in the last one.
Oh, that's fine.
Everything I am today is through the good upbringing I had with my family and that side of things. But I like the way I am in terms of my drive, the discipline, all that comes from the rugby side of things. So, leaving the game now and looking back on it, I got nothing but thanks for it coming into my life. Just go back from the start, really. I was just a boy from, well, I still am a boy from St. Julian's in Newport. And then I was a little bit bigger than everyone else in school, just a little bit bigger. And I was never a bully, but I was just big, throw my weight around a little bit. So my mum said, right, we need to get him into sport because he's just a bigger than everyone else in school. So my mum took me down to a rugby session, and it wasn't one of them, like, as I stepped foot on the pitch, but as I started going just a little bit more, it was like, whoa, I like this. Yeah. And it wasn't just I like this. I was around the boys. Yeah. So I was from the age of like 9, I was around, a group of boys who, and then before you know it, it then become my life. Yeah. I started getting better at it. I started off as a prop, then went to second row, then went to back row.
Yeah. See, all the good ones.
Yeah, it started off because I was a bigger boy. And then, as I said, as the years gone on, it completely took over my life then, where I was obsessed. Every time I go down the rugby club, all I could think about was playing for Wales. And yeah, things progressively got. I had a couple of setbacks along the way. Didn't get selected in certain teams. Certain things didn't go my way, but over time I realized that was just giving me a little bit more fuel just to go harder at it. And everything was going absolutely amazing. I mean, my Dragons debut at 18, was lucky enough to play regional age grade, 16s, 18s, 20s, 2 years at 20s. Everything was going great. I signed a 3-year deal at 18, and then I come off the back of my last World Cup with Wales. And even though a lot of people who've gone through the academy setup and the age grade setup, when you leave that age grade setup of under 20s, it's then, right, you've got to go make it in the first team now. You used to playing with people below the age of 20, and then you're straight into the first team. And it's like, sometimes if you don't make an impact straight away, you then just fall back in the pecking order, and it doesn't happen. You need to, you always try and think, let's make an impact as soon as possible. So I come off the back of a good World Cup with under 20s to Argentina. I had a couple of weeks off, and then it was straight back in. And they don't do it anymore. And I'm quite glad they don't do it anymore, because it was such a good few years of my life. We went straight back in, and I was the under 23s A-League captain for the Dragons. So we had our first game in Connacht in Ireland, and we just signed a new head coach. He come out to watch me with the academy coach, not me, sorry, the team with the academy coach. And I was very fortunate because I had a really good half of rugby, really good. And just before halftime, I was chasing a kick back, and I turned to try and jackal the ball, and I just felt this extreme pain in my knee. Went on the floor, holding my knee, and long story short, found out I ruptured my ACL. And then I was lucky at the time. Like I said, I had a good half. So the academy manager liked me at the time. He's obviously spoke to the new coach who watched me play that game, and they offered me a 3-year contract after doing my ACL. So I was very fortunate, because my rugby career could have just ended then. But that was just the start of just knock on injury after injury. And all it felt from the age of 20 to 24 was just one operation, recovery, operation, recovery, operation, recovery. So yeah, unfortunately, that's how it started. Great until the age of 20, and then my last 4 years as a pro, it was just
as if you couldn't. You wanted to go and absolutely, smash the sport that you were so passionate about, but it kept them things getting in the way. I bet that kind of took a toll on you as a person and your mental health then, because you couldn't fully put your 100% into it, because again, like you said, there was them hurdles in the way.
I spoke about it briefly prior, but when you go from something being your sole focus and that's all you care about, to then one split moment is taken away from you. And I didn't know I've never been through a period from the age of 9 to the age of 20 where I haven't been playing every single weekend or at times twice a week.
Yeah.
And when that was stripped away from me, it was lonely. And I know people go through these things, but it was extremely lonely. And at the time where it happened, I just come off the back of my first split up with my ex-girlfriend. So it was like I was struggling to deal with rugby, and now fitness is my rugby. Training is my rugby. When I was going through something, I could take all my feelings and emotions out on the pitch.
Yeah.
So when I went through that with my ex-girlfriend, I never had that escape of like getting away from or getting my feelings off my chest on the pitch. So yeah, I didn't realize it. Like I did realize it was a tough part of my life, the ACL, because it wasn't just, wait for it to recover. I couldn't walk for 8 months.
Yeah.
I couldn't. The swelling in my knee was so bad. Like I can remember going to Cardiff on a night out, and I had to get a taxi from B1 in Cardiff to Revs, because I know if I walked that distance, the day after, my knee would have just been massive.
Up like a balloon.
So yeah, that happened. And then as I was kind of coming back from that, COVID come along. So then that was another period without not being in the game. And as COVID come along, then I've put a self-inflicted injury on my own forearm, which I showed you the photo before, because I know you were curious to see.
I was curious.
And as you've seen, it was nasty.
Fucking gnarly.
It was nasty. But that hit me in a different kind of way, because in a way with the ACL, it was just unlucky.
It was one of them freak things
that happened. It wasn't like, I've torn my hamstring off the bone, and then you can look at it and go in.
I get
how are you recovering and stuff like that. When is it?
Yeah.
So when I'd done this forearm, it was the guilt and the shame I had, because obviously I've gone off the back of people putting their trust in me to be, the future for the club. And, rugby, as you both probably know this now, money in rugby is not, they got to be careful who they're giving money to.
Yeah.
So off the back end of that, I knew I had to repay him in some way. Like I knew when I got back, I had to be on the money, and I have to, even just spending 12 months out the game. Yeah. When you come back, you need to be ready to go.
Absolutely.
And I was on a night out with my mates, a couple of my rugby mates it was. And long story short, I've lost my temper, and I've punched a single pane glass window and nearly completely, not only lost my life, but lost my arm. Right. So that was tough to deal with, really tough to deal with. I know my dad, my mum was disappointed in me, and I knew everyone in the rugby network was disappointed in me. So yeah, it was having to deal with me doing that to myself and being out for another 4 months on top. Spent about 16 months without hardly picking up a rugby ball. And I think I was a little bit naive to think at the time, because I still tried staying positive, even though all this happened, naive to think I'd go back to the player I was when I was 20. And then,
because you've already been through this kind of this huge transition, you know, and as you said, very, very rightly so, and I've known it with footballers more so, and friends, where an ACL, if it's the wrong grade rupture, the wrong grade tear, or whatever, you're done. And like you said, it is that freak thing of I had a mate of mine down in Swansea, and he watched the ball come up and over him, and as he turned, it was like a gunshot. And it was like, and he just dropped. And he was, he's a hard player, and all of a sudden you're seeing him close to, because he said it's pain like I've never known.
Yeah, it was. Do you know what? It's so weird. It was excruciating pain for about 15 seconds, and then it went. And it was like, I tried getting back up, and I thought, these boys are going to be ripping me after this game, because I've just gone on the floor basically in tears. Yeah. And then I've stood up and like, I've messed up here. I overreacted. And the next thing you know, I've done my ACL, and it wasn't the worst pain injury I had, but in terms of the setback, none of the other injuries and operations I have come near.
No, the forearm incident, as we'll call it, then the forearm. So, do you think that the outburst that led to it? Do you think that what contributed toward that was this growing sense of frustration, and then it was just the straw on that particular night? I've tried.
When people ask me about this, and I'm talking about my friends now, because like I said before the last podcast, I haven't really spoke about it. When people have asked me, I've kind of hidden away from the reasons why I've done it, or just a burst of aggression, which I've always kind of struggled with. But it was definitely some of the life events I had leading up to that moment where I just soaked it all up and just been like, it's okay. And then it just come out of me at that moment. And that could have been something to do with the rugby, just getting knocked back slightly. Like I said, something I had to deal with my ex-partner. And I just took it in and was like, we'll get on with it. We'll get on with it. Not really wanting to talk about certain things with certain people. And I do think now, looking back, even though I tried hiding away from that being the reason, looking back, it was definitely a massive contribution.
So I take it then your temper kind of threshold wasn't very high coming from your teens to your 20s then, and then obviously all that was bottled up, like you just said. And Mark took the question out of my mouth.
Like I said, because it's got to go somewhere. Like all that's got to go somewhere at some point.
Yeah,
and the irony is that depending on situation, on alcohol intake, on mindset, on whatever it is, on a night out, say, me and you were out and we're having a drink, I can say something to you 1 second, you'd be totally fine. I can say the same thing as another second. And if you were if you're just in that mindset, it'll be a different response.
Yeah.
I've done it myself where, you think, Christ, like, where the hell did that come from? I was right a minute ago.
Yeah.
But it's because it's all in you.
Yeah. I think growing up, aggression and controlling my aggression was always an issue. I've spent a lot of work improving that. And that was a moment of me not being able to control my emotions.
Yeah.
And that was a flip moment in my life, along with a few other things where that happened, and it's then led to me thinking about my decisions a lot more before I do them. So that's why I say I always look back and think all these things that have happened, I'm so glad they've happened because it's ultimately contributed to me becoming a better person for it.
At what point did you kind of regret the punching of the pain in the glass? I know, obviously, not in the moment.
Like I said, I'd like to think it was pretty soon after.
Yeah, it was weird that would happen because I punched it, I pulled my arm out, I didn't know I'd done it. So I've just carried on walking. I'll never forget my mate's face. Right, my best mate still today, and he went, "Oh my God, Len, effing look at your arm."
You can swear if you want.
I've gone like that, and I've gone, I have absolutely fucked this. Yeah. That was what came out my mouth, because straight away, all I thought was my rugby career's done. That's the only thing I thought about was not, shit, am I going to lose my arm? Or, shit, that's not good. Yeah. It was, my rugby career is over.
Yeah.
At that moment, that's all I could think about. And as time went on then, it was weird how it all worked out. Like I said, I could talk about this in detail for a while, but the way it happened and the way my operation happened and it being in the Gwent and it not being private, I didn't know the damage I'd done because they got me in and they would have told me after what they'd done, the repairs they'd done, but I was out of it. They were giving me drugs and stuff like that. And I was just like completely out of it. So I spent the next 4 or 5 weeks chasing chasing that hospital to get my medical records back. And it's not as easy as just calling up the hospital and say, can you tell me what I've done? You got to file for certain things. And then they're like, right, we need to get permission. So for the first 5-6 weeks, I did not know the damage I'd done to my arm. So that was like, what's next? And luckily, not all it was, I 100% divided that muscle. So that was 100% divided. I need to grow back, and still to today now, the strength's not there. But and then I tore this tendon, but fortunately it went down, not across, because if it was across, I could have lost movement in my finger.
Right.
But in terms of how bad it could have went, it was pretty good. I was out the game for 4 months. So I just had to wait for this to heal. But regret comes straight away.
Because when you have any injury, whether it's on a pitch, self-inflicted, whatever, accidental, whatever it is, I suppose as well, because you were on the trajectory that you were, because, let's be honest, you were doing this. You're also under that microscope. And you're scrutinised. And it's one thing to have a knock on the pitch and all of a sudden it's on, Cymru Sport and BBC Way and all the rest of it. But then you have something in your personal life, and it becomes like scandalised, and then it becomes, he's this, he's that. Was that ever a concern for you?
Yeah, definitely. It was a concern for me straight away. I did this, and obviously you worry. I think it worked in my benefit a little bit, the fact it was in Bristol. Because if it's in Cardiff, just people, people around. So it happened in Bristol, and I was worried that, I don't know, maybe the police were going to get involved. Maybe it was going to go out. And so again, I say I didn't talk about it, but it's not really something I wanted to be shouting around the place.
No, because like the mad thing, right? Did you have a look at like someone like Andy Powell? Right, who was a fantastic player, fantastic servant for his country. But then it's almost, and again, I mean, in zero disrespect, but it's an observation that it's almost become ingrained in pop culture within Wales. You can't put Andy Powell in a conversation without talking about him having a golf cart.
I know exactly.
And doing something when he'd had a couple of, but how that became part of well, that's who he is. And then kind of shifting perspectives, and some people think, I think that's great, and then the other side of the coin is, I think it's disrespectful for the fans of them. So that must be a lot as well, because you're not just and again, I mean, in no disrespect to any rugby club again, but there as in all sports, there are levels. There are levels. But whatever. I haven't got to be a sportsman to be able to say there are levels. And the more you do this, the more that your freedoms are almost taken away from you. Because if that incident in Bristol, if that happens at a small kind of regional side rugby team, then it's a localized scandal. If it happens when you start going up the ladder, it's like, oh my God, like that's got implications that could limit how far you go. So
I think, and I could be wrong saying this, but I think I was quite respected in that environment. And then when I'd done my knee, I was kind of like forgotten about it a little bit because I was out the game for so much. And I think when that happened, I think I lost quite a lot of respect from the environment of like, what would the wording be? Is maybe really immature.
Like I said, I get where you're coming from.
I spent years
kind of building this profile.
And I always see myself as a leader, as like a captain, someone to set the example for certain things. And when I'm going out drinking alcohol, doing this, I think people, rightly so in a way, lost respect for me in terms of being someone to set the example and be a leader, because I always see myself as that person. And maybe after that, then, like I said, it was another two massive operations after that, but I lost that edge about me from the age of 20 to the age of when I left at 24, 25. I lost the leadership skills, the edge, the holding people accountable for their decisions. I lost that completely, but I felt like I lost the right to say certain things to people anymore. Definitely.
Let me ask you something. Do you ever feel like you're capable of more, but something keeps on holding you back? That's where Phil comes in. Phil is a professional master coach and a master practitioner in NLP, timeline therapy and hypnotherapy with years of real-world experience building and growing businesses. His passion is simple: helping you reimagine your life or your business, break through limitations, and build unstoppable momentum for good. Whether you want a powerful one-off session or ongoing support where Phil walks you through every step of the way, everything is tailored to you and your goals. If you're ready for real, lasting change, Phil might be exactly who you've been looking for. To find out more what Phil does, just visit philhanlon.com for more information. Well, I'm interested to know, because it's a generic sort of query and question, then, is some might say, or in a medical profession, if I know they see people in A&E all the time, but it's a self-inflicted injury, and on your scale, it was quite huge. I don't know whether they could say that that's self-harm. Did you have any follow-up from the hospital to say, as in mental health query? Nothing.
No, nothing. I went to a follow-up appointment with the hospital, and I can't say anything bad about the hospital because what they done with me that night was amazing. But I had a follow-up, and the only reason I went to the follow-up because I wanted to try and find out what I'd done, because everything then was private. I went back to the Dragons, and the Dragons were then
right.
So I had to go and find out what that surgeon done to me, but it was just showing me a couple of rehab exercises and say, get on with your life.
Yeah.
But they knew what I'd done that night.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing. The amount of people that go through them doors probably on a weekend after drink. Yes, there is quite a lot.
Yeah.
The severity of yours, you would think, right, hang on, this is a massive injury. He could have killed himself. Even if they had a quick follow-up, what caused you to have it? And then if you've done this, like a triage.
Signpost you to something.
Yeah, but then I think there's part of it as well, which I don't agree with, but I think there's part of it where you were probably, as you said yourself, you have the label smacked on you then. Oh, he's a rugby boy. Oh, he's a chewer. Him and the boys couldn't handle a drink. Oh, well, you know what these sports teams are like when they have a drink. Because that's the stereotype.
Yeah.
Just like, whether we want to admit it or not, there are stereotype footballers when they go out. There are stereotype rugby boys in the club. You know, and there's this kind of image of what a rugby club looks like on a Friday night and what a football club looks like on a Saturday evening. And they're not always true, but it's been built up all the time. And then it works against you, because then when something does go wrong, that's your label. As you said, you had two kind of, again, pivotal operations that came later. The one that was the straw that broke the camel's back was probably something that you didn't have on your cards to do it, because it was your finger, wasn't it?
Yeah, so like I said, I won't go into too much detail about it, but as I come back from my forearm, I dislocated my right shoulder. So I had to have a Latarjet, which is a pretty big shoulder operation. I was out 4 or 5 months with that, and within 3 games of me doing my right shoulder, I'd done exactly the same to my left. So I was out for another 5 to 6 months with that. I say I stayed positive. When you take me back to before the age of 20, I was not confidence, not the right word, but I was so determined that I'd play for Wales, and it was the only thing I cared about, and it was my life goal to do. But when I got to after my 2 shoulder ops, it was like, I don't think it's going to happen now. I just wanted to try and hopefully become a squad player for the Dragons. But I still had, a bit of drive in me. And I was going into my last year of my contract, and this is another 5 years on now. So I was very fortunate. The coach just said, right, one more year. So I was coming into my last year of my contract, and they put me on like a development plan. So, if we're happy with you by October, we'll up your money. If we're happy by you by December, we'll give you another year. So I started off the season, went really well in pre-season games. The head coach said, we're going to put you on loan to Hartbury. Have a good couple of games, and we'll see where you're at. So I was quite optimistic going into my last season after everything that happened. And I ran out for Hartbury in the first game of the season. Again, it all seemed to happen early on in the season, which was just a killer. And I went in for a chop tackle, And I looked down at my finger. My finger's facing the other way. Didn't really think too much of it. I've never dislocated my finger. It's not very nice, but pop it back in. Let's get back to play.
Yeah.
And the physio popped it back in. He said, "Listen, if it keeps happening, we'll have to drag you off." So I'm running on the pitch, made another tackle, fingers facing the other way again. Put it back into place. Said, if it happens one more time, I'm gonna have to take you off, because it's not really, you don't want your finger dislocating every 2 seconds. Must have ran past someone and flicked their shorts or something.
It's mad, isn't it? Because it's like the setup for a joke. Yeah. That's why you did it again, and it happened again.
So I've gone like that. I just went physio. He said, right, you're going to have to go off. So I called the physio and I just said, listen, I've just done this in Hartbury. He said, go to the Gwent, get it looked at. So then he took me in to get, I don't think it was an x-ray. It might have been an x-ray, MRI, whatever. And he's like, you ruptured the central slip in your finger. If you don't have a cast on it for 12 weeks, your finger is going to permanently go like that. So he's like, obviously you can carry on playing with it, but it's not ideal playing a game of rugby where you're going to have to catch and pass constantly with your finger in that position there. Yeah. So he's like, you need to basically have a cast on for 12 weeks. And it was at that moment I was just like, it wasn't just that. The same game, it was just before I had a nasty knock to the head. I'm seeing stars. And I'm just like, come on. I think maybe now it's not, I actually didn't think that. I actually said, my mate come up to watch me play for Hartbury. I said, mate, I'm done. I can't do this. I can't do this to my body anymore. It's not going the way I want it to go. But I was saying these things, but I don't think I let it soak into my head.
It's a mix of frustration, exhaustion.
So I'm saying these things, but I don't know if I actually mean these things at the time. I was just so upset with how things are gone.
And is there part of you then that even maybe subconsciously,
still a bit of hope,
where you sat with your mate saying, "Oh, do you know what? I'm done," wanting him to say, "Oh no, you're not. It'll be all right now." And then the realization then is, okay, well maybe it's just this, but obviously then you add that kind of meeting that
So I'm saying I'm done in myself, but I'm kind of knowing as well the conversation is not going to be a good one because I haven't played rugby for 4 years. And just after that game, the head coach who got along with me really well, got sacked. So a new coach come in, but I know the new coach who come in from previous. So like I said, it was not only me knowing myself I'm kind of done, kind of knowing it's been 4 years of injuries. This can't go on for much longer. So I got back from my finger, maybe played 1 or 2 games, and it's got that time of the year. It always happens just before Christmas, and they'll tell you whether they want to keep you for the following year, because you've got to set yourself, you've got to have a few months to try and find a new job. But he said to me, listen, Len, I've known you for years. I do like you. Let's see you play a little bit longer before I make a decision. I'm kind of thinking in my head, I want to hear the decision now because I don't really think I want to stay anyway. But I said in the previous podcast I'd done, I said I'm done. But if he did sit down and say to me, Len, there's another year, really, maybe would I have took it? I'm glad he didn't now. But he sat down with me then. So this decision in my head was made, first game of the season would have been October time. He must have sat down with me in February. And I've had that amount of time to tell myself it's done. And I'm kind of telling myself it's finished. But when he sat down with me and he told me to my face, right, Len, I think your time here at the Dragons is done. It was just this moment, and everything changed in my life. It was a big sense of who am I? Who am I? Because for all I've ever known is I am a rugby player and I'm giving my life to this sport. And throughout them years, my network of people are rugby people. And it was, who am I now without this sport? And it was from that moment then, everything in my life changed. Like, I had a big identity crisis. I spent, like I said, I didn't know who I was anymore. So I had to try and think about, while going through these emotions of not knowing who I am, what's next? And not knowing who you are and what you like to do outside of this one thing, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And throughout them years of me just having them loads of little knockbacks, before the age of 20, I was quite a confident person.
Yeah.
I could happily sit in a room and talk to a room full of people about what I think they need to improve on, what we need to be better on. And by the end, if you put me in a room with a stranger, my anxiety would have been through the roof.
Yeah.
Because I just lost all confidence in myself. So me going through this tough period of not knowing who I was and then having to find a job, I just thought, what's the one job where I don't have to physically like get myself out there to people and open up and take charge of certain things. And I spoke to the sponsors and basically they got me in to do a labouring role for a TV and movie set carpentry company. So it was a good job and the progression in the job was great, but my ambitions of what I wanted to be leaving the game was not that. In terms of, I thought I lost the edge about me. I thought it was done. I thought that was the old Lennon, but really I just lost that side of myself.
Yeah, that chapter, that chunk
and then
of it.
it was weird because I spent a year thinking I'm a different person, and I was a different person in a way, and the old Lennon's gone, but really I just lost myself along the way. And it took for me to start the new job as I am now as a PT for me to find out who I am again. And
it's like a rediscovery of yourself.
Let's call it that, a rediscovery of the person I believed
I
could have been.
Yeah, because you had all these channels, but you were only going down that one channel because you didn't really go and discover them because you didn't need to.
Yeah, but I think it's something that you hear maybe quite worryingly all too often with individuals who play sport for a prolonged period. Is it does become such a part of your identity, and we had a chat off camera, didn't we, about it being like that's your bubble. And when that bubble bursts, just like, geez, what's all this?
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Because I just know that when you put me on a pitch, I will deliver 110%. And it's as you said, you had fought your way through injury after injury. You had emotional turmoil through that time as well, which you kind of suppressed.
I definitely, in a way, did to suppress all them feelings and emotions I had.
To push yourself on. And it almost then, I personally think that even though, all right, now, it's all life's plan and all that, it's all work well. But I would totally kind of empathize if you said, I felt fucking hard done by. Because you could have, after the ACL, turned around and said, time now. Yeah. But you cracked on. You cracked on. And then, as you said, there is a kind of, there's a brutality to it. There's a real, and there is that. And I know that 9 times out of 10, if not more, it isn't a personal thing. It's, there's lots of different decision makers. Yeah. But it is a brutal thing, because it is just like you 1 minute, you go on the next, all the best in your future endeavours. And if you don't know what the fuck your future endeavours are, then how do you cope with that life change?
Yeah. It's weird because I've always been in environments where it's always tough it out, right? It's always tough it out. You're stronger than, the average person. You should be able to deal with these things. And I've always been a fighter, If I get knocked back, I'm going again. But at that moment, I lost all my strength. I felt
like Samson of his haircut.
Yeah.
But like the big question, and I was obviously, I was listening to the other podcast, and I was secretly quite happy you didn't ask. It didn't get asked. But what I will ask is, was there ever a moment where you thought, I'll go to a different club? because that never came up when you were talking previously, and I thought, well, was it like, if I can't play here, I don't want to play?
Yeah.
Because there's that self-pride, there's that grit, there's that, I know how good I am. So if I can't play, like, who am I if I can't play here? Then what's the point? Was there ever a moment you thought, you know what, I'm going to look at a different club? Or
Well, as I was in the age grade setup with under 20s, my agent was saying, listen, potentially let's have a look around. I'm hearing things from different clubs. And looking back now, potentially I should have, because if you look at the Dragons side now, like over the last 10 years, Dragons haven't been the greatest side, but the back row talent they've produced over the last, it's been amazing. And I was, regardless of the injury that I had, I was down the pecking order anyway. But I'm a Gwent boy. I'm a Dragon. Like, I wanted to play for my home club. That was what I wanted to do. And I wanted to play for my national side, which was Wales, which is Wales. But towards the end, when Dragons told me they didn't want to keep me, my agent called me and was like, do you want me to have a look around for a couple of years? I said, I don't want it. I said, I'm done. I'm done with the game.
But what do you think was, the kind of the deciding factor? I just want to go, because I think that's what I'm really interested in, because it is like, you are Lennon, the rugby player, and it's your identity, and it's what you've known since you were like 9 years of age, being taken to that first, and then it's like informed your friendships and your how you are as a young man into a man, and you just say, I'm done with it all. Like that's a hell of a That's a hell
I'm not
of
the only person who's done that either. No.
But it's a hell of like a final.
I think there's a fine line between love and hate, and I love that sport so much. And after all them setbacks, knowing I didn't become the person and the player I could have become, I ended up hating the game. I did really end up hating the game to the point where I didn't want to play anymore. Yeah. So I'm not going to do something, even though I'm pretty good at the sport, if I'm not passionate about doing it anymore. Yeah. And over them years, as sad as it is, like I said, all I could think about was rugby. Yeah. And then after that, it becomes something I hated doing.
Mm. Do you think then, if you didn't have that kind of not hate for it, and the lost passion for it, would you ever thought of going into coaching? My personal kind of thing on it is you can be a great player, or you can be a great coach or head coach. You can't go into a head coach position being a good player.
Yeah,
it's my kind of personal thing. But you can go in as like a backs coach or a forward coach, kicking coach. Did that ever kind of cross your mind? Because even if you couldn't physically play the sport,
that's tough, isn't it?
But you can see the passion you have in the younger generations that you first had.
But it is tough.
Well, you say that. Throughout them years, the only thing that really helped me was training. So if I done my shoulder, I train a lot of lower body, and I do lower body conditioning. Or if I done my knee, I do a lot of upper body conditioning. So over years, my love for rugby ended up becoming a little bit of love for training and fitness.
Okay.
So when I left the game, that was my passion, shall I say, but I didn't see a progression to go down that route.
Right.
I always thought in my head maybe a little bit, become a coach, personal trainer, but my confidence was so shot to bits. The thought of me having to put myself out there to people, it was just not a thing I really considered. So when I left the year of me being a labourer, and I finally made the decision to become a PT, it was important for me to give back to that environment. So now I'm a strength and conditioning coach for a rugby academy.
Nice.
So I'm giving back in a way, but I'm giving back in a little bit of a different way, in something that's more passionate to me now, because I know I'm a better S&C coach now than I am a rugby coach.
Okay.
I still do bits of rugby with them because I can still give. I'm not a bad rugby coach, but my passion is now more the fitness element of it.
Right.
So I do work in a rugby academy as the S&C coach.
Nice.
But I wouldn't right now in my life. I wouldn't get up and leave me being a personal trainer just to be an S&C coach.
Yeah, because I was going to say, and it may be a somewhat loaded question, so I apologize in advance. But I don't do it to everybody. But if you were to say right to you right now, do you miss it? Do you miss getting on a rugby pit and playing? Is this something that you do miss, or are you truly at peace with?
No, I'll be honest with you. No.
You don't miss it?
I don't miss playing rugby. I miss elements of it.
Like the camaraderie.
So for me, not missing it, I know my coping mechanisms of not having to think about it. So I don't go and watch rugby anymore. I don't go to the rugby games anymore.
Well, that's what I mean. That's because it's such a shift.
So my uncle still goes to watch Merthyr all the time. So he keeps on asking me to go and watch Merthyr, but I'm thinking in my head, I don't want to go there because I don't want to get that feeling back of missing the game. Because the main reason, go back quickly, and I spent a year without playing the game completely, and then my mate pushed me up to go to Merthyr, so I spent 2 years at Merthyr. But the sole reason I left the game, even though I was enjoying my rugby at Merthyr again, I'm so glad I went there, because before that, I was done with the sport. Completely washed my hands with it, finished, never wanted to play again, and my mate dragged me up to Merthyr. But it was a great decision because I finally started enjoying the game again, not taking it too seriously, even though I still did go out on the pitch every game, wanting to win, still cared about what I did. So my uncle asked me, come up and watch Merthyr all the time. I think, I don't want to go because I don't want to get that feeling back on. So I went to go and watch him play in the semi-final against Bargoed, part of Sardis Road. And as I was watching that game, I was thinking, I'm missing this. I'd love to be out on that pitch now. But I'm not going to lie, I don't spend weekends thinking, I wish I was driving up to the Wern now having a game.
And then in my experience,
I'll be honest with you,
because in my experience, because I've seen it at like Merthyr football over the last however many. You'll see like an ex-player, and maybe they've settled down, or maybe they've decided, and you see him at a game, and you know that within seconds of him being seen, everyone else have seen him, and then it's, are they coming back? Are they going to play here? Oh, we should try and get him reached. Has there ever been an attempt? Even though you said, "Listen, I'm out, I'm done, I'm here to watch," and that's all it is. Has there ever been the attempt of, I wouldn't mind just signing with him?
When I went up to go and watch them the other day, they were all saying, come back. We love you back. Are you ready to come back? Yeah. You ready to come back? And I won't go into detail, but a couple of phone calls have happened. It's just like...
So it could be an exclusive.
Yeah, no.
No. But you're at peace. You're at peace.
It's at peace. And when I made the decision that this was going to be my last year of rugby at Merthyr, I didn't just say it, I meant it. So it wasn't someone to call me up and say, Len, what can we do to keep you? No, I made the decision. It wasn't, can we give you a couple of extra quid? Or can we add this on? Can we do that? Or maybe you don't come to training. None of this happened. I'm just saying, maybe you don't come to training once a week. It was none of that. It was just, I made the decision that, and for me, it was so important the time I did leave the game was because it was one of the best days I've had in the game. We won the league at home against Neath. We beat them. I can't even remember the score. It was something close to 100 points. Wow. But all my family come down. We lifted the trophy. Everything was great. I didn't walk off the pitch in crutches. No.
Everything. Always a win.
In that moment then, after them terrible years I had in the game where I fell out of love with it, that moment, it was like, I don't think there's ever a great time to leave the game. Yeah. But it was...
But it's going to be as good as any.
Thankfully, that moment happened. My family come down to watch me. And my family, for a long time, didn't like to come watch me because every time they come to watch me, I go off with something. So that was the moment where I was like, this is a nice time to
Do you think
end.
then? No, not do you think? Do you have any self practices in yourself to when them questions do arise and people are badgering you? Are you coming back? Do you have so? Because I don't know if some people have it, but the urge is that they haven't got a filter as soon as because you were so passionate about it. If somebody says, "Oh, come on, come back," oh fuck it, yeah. What's one game?
Yeah.
Or do you think? Do you look back and think of the glass, the leg, the ACL, the finger? Do you think back at them and go, nah? And then that kind of reminds you again.
And to be honest with you, that's exactly what it is. So, if you could promise me now, I would never get a serious injury again.
Yeah,
I'd still be at Merthyr playing now. No, I would.
Yeah,
but with the job I'm doing currently, which I'm so passionate about doing, and I'm trying to change people's lives through fitness and training, if something was to happen to me, and it can happen anywhere, I could walk out the door and slip now. But with rugby, it just amplifies.
Yeah.
If me playing one more game ended up leading to something like that happening again in my life, it's not worth it. And I'm always thinking risk reward. So I'd love to be in a position where I can go back down to Newport High School Old Boys in Clean and play with them every now and then on a Saturday and give back to everything they've done for me as a kid.
Yeah.
But the way I look at it is I could just walk onto the pitch now, go in for a jackal, someone comes out and I dislocate my shoulder again and I can't do what I'm most passionate about, and that is pushing people to become stronger, better through fitness.
So what you're saying is if you do that again, you're back to square one.
Yeah.
You lose that passion all over again because of the sport. So
I feel like I've got to a point in my life now where I'd like to think I've become a lot of a stronger individual, where if something was to happen to me like that, I'd be able to pivot and work of ways. But I just think that the job I'm doing now, where I'm on my feet all day and I'm showing people exercises, I'd rather not be getting up a YouTube video going, this is how you do that.
Yeah.
I'd rather not.
I mentioned, didn't I, off camera, I had a really, really good mate who was a PT, and he sustained a nasty football injury, and he ended up, he was in the boot and he was hobbling. And he turned up to the sessions and he said, I can't show like 95% of the stuff I wanted to do. And so he said, I'm sat on a chair while they are doing they bench press or whatever. I'm trying to like hobble on one leg to try and like change weight some and all that, and try and, he said, and I'm sat there and they're saying like, oh, I'm hurting my make, and I'm thinking my fucking leg.
And it's that, mate. It's so much that. I become a better coach when I'm doing these things myself. So if I'm in a room full of people doing a class and I'm asking themselves to push their body to the limits, if I'm doing it myself, I feel like I have the right to say these things. And it shouldn't always be the case. There's some amazing coaches out there that don't train at all. Better than me. But for me as an individual, I need to practice what I'm preaching. And I know how these big injury blows can just pull your motivation back, stop me from doing certain things, not allow me to show exercises, for example, and it does knock you. Like
if you were being totally honest and you haven't got to worry about being humble and whatever, or if you'd been luckier with injuries, where is Lennon now? If those injuries don't happen, if that kind of compounding injury, where do you think you would have ended up? Honestly, like an honest assessment.
I was quite confident that I would have played for Wales, and that's me, and I back myself in anything I do now.
I think you've got to.
100%.
You've got to. Like,
people can call it
ego and
ego, cocky, but
You've got
when you're in professional sport, you need to believe you're going to do these things. Otherwise, there's no point in doing it.
I always, a very, very good friend of mine, and he turned around once and someone had said about arrogance. And he said, you have to have a degree of arrogance
100%.
and a degree. He said, because, for example, in football and very, very similar for rugby, if you don't want to represent your country in a World Cup final, what are you doing it for? Because it should be you want to play at the very highest level with the very highest accolades, and everything else is like, oh well, that's nice to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was curious.
But you ask some people, and they'll tell you the British Lions.
Yeah, well,
but for me, it was
just Wales.
Play for Wales.
Yeah. My
in
father
the
was always a
Principality,
massive
singing the
Lions.
national anthem in front of my family. And at that moment, then, if I'd done that, no matter what, I have done everything I wanted to achieve in the game.
Yeah.
Was
You could have
singing
gone
that
out
national anthem
and lost, but it don't matter.
in front of 80,000 people.
Yeah.
And I could feel the feeling before I'd done it.
Yeah.
And like I said, it didn't take me too long to think, I don't think that's going to happen now. But up until I was 20, I genuinely did believe that. And you look back at the boys, I don't know, you don't know. Do you know much about rugby? Like in terms of, do you follow it a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit.
Like,
what I know.
Jack Morgan was the same age as me, so me and him were playing together. Me and Tane Basham. Tane's played for Wales. Tommy Raffel. It was us boys, like we were together.
All right then. So now watching them play, and if they've won in Principality and they're running towards their family, the bottom row, how does that make you feel?
I couldn't. When it's weird because if I see now when I was 20, my reaction to that would have been different to now. So now, if I seen that, proud, like genuinely proud of them. You've dedicated your life to this. You're getting the rewards you deserve to get. But maybe if I was 20, I'd look at that and be a little bit bitter, thinking that should be me. Yeah. So things have changed over the years, definitely.
Yeah. It's fair to say, even from when I was reading up and when I spoke to you beforehand, you can see it's so clear the amount of personal growth is insane. And for every bit of identity crisis or imposter syndrome or whatever it may have been, and like my word doesn't really count for much, but I any time that you would be hard on yourself, I'd say you need to give yourself a fucking pat on the back, because the growth is insane. Yeah. On a personal level. And I think you've carried yourself incredibly well.
Absolutely.
Compared to lads who, and it's no disrespect, but lads who played a hell of a lot lower, and who really aren't able to take it as well. So yeah, I think that's incredible. I am interested, I'll be honest, it really piqued my interest, because I find it really interesting anyway. You also had a real, debilitating bout with health anxiety. Yeah. Like insane. Yeah. Like, when it started as just this odd kind of lump in your throat type thing, and it escalated.
I should have probably have spoke about it when I mentioned the fact where my life changed as soon as I was told that they don't want to keep me anymore. But not only did I have the identity crisis, throughout that period within a month of me having these feelings, I was in bed the one night, and I can't explain the feeling. I said on the last podcast, it was like a hiccup. It wasn't a hiccup. It was just this something coming up through my throat, and I thought, what's that? It was that, and that was the first sign of something physical happening to me. But I got along with it, but it was happening for a few nights in a row. So I just got on with it. And then I was in training the once, and I was on the spin bike, and I think one of the boys was speaking to me, and my brain is just everywhere else other than where it needs to be. Realistically, I shouldn't have, when they told me they didn't want me there anymore, I may as well have left, because the last few months I was so mentally unstable. My mind was just, it didn't need to be in that environment. No.
But it's almost like torturing yourself, because it's somewhere that you can't stay.
I know somewhere I know I can't stay, and I'm being told I got to stay here. So I was on the watt bike, And as my legs are going on the watt bike, my side of my face just suddenly starts going numb. And I'm thinking, don't panic. You're in a room full of rugby lads. Just keep on going with your legs. And then it slowly got worse. The side of my face started going numb, and then it started going down the whole side of my body. So at this moment, I'm like, get me out this room. I don't want to kick up a fuss in front of all these boys. I'm going to go onto the pitch on my own. And I got to the pitch, and I don't know what got over me. I don't know if I thought I was overheating or something. I basically stripped off just in my shorts and my top. It was a cold day at this point. I had my hoodie on, my beanie, my, tracksuit bottoms on. Basically stripped off. I'm laying on the floor on the pitch, just trying to breathe. And I'm thinking, I'm having a stroke. Don't make a big deal about it. Don't make a big deal about it. And I remember a couple of the boys popping their head out the window, my mates now, but they didn't realise at the time. It wasn't them being horrible. They just sat there laughing at me. Just laughing their head off. So I've just gone, boys, like, I'm not in a good way. So I've just tried getting myself away from that situation. I've gone upstairs on the beanbag and just keeps on going. I'm thinking, I'm going to die now. I'm going to die. But I slowly calm myself down a little bit over time. I've gone to go and see the physio, and I've said, like, Fizz, I think I've had a stroke. And he was like, go and see the doctor. So I've drove down to see the club doctor. And he just basically said, Len, you haven't had a stroke. You've had a panic attack. I didn't believe him. I was adamant I had a stroke. But after that moment then, from the space of about February to December of that year, it was one thing after another, where if it wasn't me worried I was going to have a stroke, it was me having a tight sensation in my chest, which then made me pretty confident I was having a heart attack. And then when that settled, it's been something else, and it was just a knock-on of me genuinely believing I was going to die of something serious, and not over time, instant. I was constantly in fear that I was in fight or flight constantly. And it got so bad over time. And me and a boy called Ben Fry, we left the Dragons together. So me and him both went into this role as labourers together. He seen daily how bad I was. I was coming into work every day with a weight on my chest. And it honestly felt like someone was pressing all their weight against my chest. Stomach cramps, stomach pains, where like I couldn't stand up properly. And I go home sometimes and my mum and dad would say, oh, Len, you're going through some really bad depression, anxiety. But no one could have told me at the time that you can get physical symptoms from being depressed and anxious.
Unbelievable.
I was like, this
Scary.
This isn't a thing. No, I'm dying. And even my own parents couldn't convince me that this was me going through a bad patch of anxiety and depression. So it got so bad at one point, and this was the worst part of it all, because the weight on the chest, the stroke, they'd come and go. I went through a point where this went on for months. I constantly tried catching my breath. And whenever I couldn't catch my breath, so you get that bit at the bottom, I've caught my breath, relax, breathe. I could never get that.
Wow.
I could never, and I constantly all day was trying to catch my breath. And the more you're
thinking about it,
the more I'm trying to catch my breath, the more basically I'm hyperventilating, which is then bringing on a panic attack, which is then me not being able to catch my breath. So all I was doing all day was going, which then I learned over time when I did a lot bit of research into it, breathing is a subconscious thing. And when you're consciously thinking about your breathing, your whole nervous system, your whole body is just out of sync. So I spent 3 months of my life just focusing on breathing, and it did get this bad. It's easy for me to talk about it, and I don't think you realize how bad it was. It was so bad to the point where I didn't want to. The only place I felt safe was laying on my bed.
Okay.
Laying on my bed was the only place I felt safe where I could relax. And really, that should have told me this is not as serious as you think it is in terms of health.
It's psychological.
Because it was coming in peaks and troughs. But as soon as I left my house and I went to go to Cardiff to work, as soon as I left Newport, the panic started.
Because I think there's kind of two things there for me. The first one is that again, we talk about identity and stereotype, etc. But the fact that even when you'd convinced yourself, and mentally and emotionally you convinced yourself, I'm having a stroke during the training session, the instinct was, I can't let the boys see this. Which is, when you step back, that's like, that's fucking crazy. When you step back, because like
looking back now,
looking back, but at the time you are, because you're in the middle of it. And it's like I can't be seen, because I've had these injuries. I can't add another thing on top, because that's like, how am I going to deal with that?
Yeah.
No, the instant of, I'm going to die, bump, like that. And this may be, again, maybe my mind's gone all different places. Do you think that fear of the instantness of life being taken away, do you think it's linked to how quickly that rugby was taken from you? Because even though it was, if you look at it, it was quite a drawn-out process in terms of injuries. You have a conversation, it's done. And it's taken from you.
Yeah, that's. Do you know what? That's an interesting way of looking at it. I've never thought about that.
And that's, and that's something to consider, because I suppose what you did with Merthyr is you kind of, you chose your terms. So you had control.
Yeah,
so you chose, right, I'm ready. This is, I've just won. We got the trophy. I'm leaving on my terms. But what happened previously was that choice was taken away from you, and it was a rug being pulled. And like I said, I'm interested in maybe if the suddenness of it's going to be something bam, and it's going to be something I can't control. If it was kind of an after effect, stress, trauma, whatever you want to call it, as a product of being released.
That's a good way of not a good way. It's a good. It's a good way of looking at it. Potentially, I've never thought about that before, but definitely, I over time, and I know you talk about self development and stuff. That's the last 2 years of my life. That's been my biggest focus. And how do I become a better person? How do I learn more about myself?
Have you had any history previous of? I say health anxiety, and I think he knows I'm going to swipe you a little here.
Probably.
He spoke about it on you, right?
Yeah.
He's petrified to death.
Yeah.
He is absolutely petrified of the one certainty in life is death, right? Yeah. Which sounds simple when you say it like that. Has it ever been something that you kind of, you're frightened of mortality?
No. And I'll be honest with you, no. I've been, and he won't mind me speaking about it. I've been around my best friend a lot where he is in the same boat as you. He is absolutely petrified of death. And when he's spending so much of his life, because I got a real close friend who suffers really bad with health anxiety, and he suffers still to today. He spent his whole life in fear of that happening, and I couldn't understand it.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you go through it yourself, where you're in constant fear of death, you realize how scary it is.
Yeah.
Because now I'm not thinking about dying. It doesn't cross my mind.
Yeah.
But when I went through that period of my life where I constantly, every moment of the day, was thinking I was going to take my last breath, it's a scary place to be. And it's for someone, like I said, who've always prided himself on being mentally tough. And this doesn't mean if you struggle with your mental health, you're not mentally tough. But I've always been tough it out.
Yeah.
I'm tough. I'm a rugby lad. At that moment, it was a bit. I was in fear, constantly in fear, and I felt not weak, but vulnerable, extremely vulnerable.
Yeah.
How big a component do you think that mindset is still within rugby, in modern day rugby, where it's like you've got to be this, you've got to be strong.
Massively.
Still.
Massive. It's still to today now. I think there's definitely more things they're doing about trying to get boys to talk.
Yeah.
And that was a thing when I was there, talk a little bit more. But no one, you really go into a change room. I could be wrong now. It might be different where boys are opening up about their mental health.
Well, look at Jack Morgan, like you said. He becomes a Wales captain. Six Nations come up, he can't play because he's injured. I think. And it's like, I bet, I don't know what kind of the process they've done that with him compared to you. Now these days, obviously with mental health being more on the forefront.
But it's not just that with Jack Morgan, right? And this is not talking about Jack Morgan. No. I don't speak to Jack Morgan personally now, but it's not just having to deal with going from playing for the Lions to then getting injured. But what's going on in his personal life in the background? What's going, like, not say anything but he could be dealing with a whole lot of stuff that if no one's saying to him, how are you, mate? If you've got anything going on, then sometimes you might be able to deal with it now, but I feel like there's only so long you can deal with it before it all comes out.
It's exactly the same as, like some of the shit that gets flung players' ways from quote-unquote fans. Where they think, I've got the right to say what I want because I bought an entry ticket. So if I want to shout abuse, I can say, I paid for it.
Yeah.
They have no idea off the pit. Like some of them think they know because if it's a local club, you may walk through the club to get your sausage and chips or something, and they well done, and they think they know you, but they don't know you.
No,
they know the you on the pitch and the you that you project socially, whatever. They got no way. Like you could be back home having the most horrendous home life possible.
But I think that's tied in with rugby. People look at it, and football, any sport. People look at it. He's got a life. He's smashing it. But you're not you're just seeing this small part of their life where they get to showcase. You're not seeing everything else. And I think that's what I try and, you don't know what's going on in people's lives. So try and be a half decent person. Like I personally can get, and I'd never do it, how someone's going online, writing on Manchester United's Instagram page a message to a player, calling them every name under the sun
because he missed a penalty,
and I've always said, that if the person was there in real life, they'd be, can you sign this?
Can you sign this?
Can you sign my son's shirt? Can you do? And you're thinking to yourself, mate, what are you letting yourself down for? Because everyone's massive behind a phone or Twitter account or whatever they're called these days, X. I'll be honest, right? I've had a fucking blast.
Me too. And I think if you think of things happen for a reason, this is a big. Well, it's that for you. Is you are getting the passion you had in rugby, doing what you're doing now. You're not fearing for your life. You're not going to get injured. And I think it's a win-win situation for yourself.
I'll be honest, right? At the risk of sounding like a kiss ass, which I know Jordan tell you, I speak as I find, and that's just how it is. Sometimes my detriment. I go on record. I'll tell anyone if someone says, "Oh, what do you think of that Lennon Greggains?" I said I think he's inspirational.
Absolutely.
I said I think you are proof in the pudding that you can have adversity, you can have challenge, and not only that is not have to define who you are, but you can overcome it. And that if there are anyone else who's had even a fraction of the challenge, they know, listen, it's not the end. It doesn't have to be the end of your story. It doesn't have to be what the fight, because you've transformed into something much more than Lennon the rugby player. I'll be totally honest. I haven't seen you throw a rugby ball. I know. Right, so I can't ever say how good a player you were, but the likelihood is you're probably a better human being than you'd ever be a rugby player. And I mean, because I think what you're doing and the reasons you're doing it I think are fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
just on the back end of that. That's why I'm trying to do what I'm doing now, because, like I said, I'm getting no benefit by telling my story.
Yeah.
You know, my business is at a place now where it's going great, but I just want to try and inspire people in a small way I can.
Yeah.
That whatever you're going through now, that's not the end.
Yeah.
And I was at a place 2 years ago where I was in a really bad, really deep hole where I didn't see a way out. And I got myself out of it. And now I'm out of it. I'm glad I was in it, because all I ended up becoming was a stronger person from it. So I do appreciate you both having me on and them kind words. I really do.
Awesome.
It's been incredible, and and thank you. And sorry, it was a bit of a technical issue.
No, it was good.
But no, thank you.
Thank you, boys.
And
Yeah.
our usual spiel then. Like, subscribe. No, I'm joking.
Usual spiel.
But yeah, again, thank you for watching, listening, coming back to us, and your kind words, basically.
Yeah, cheers to Tidy Butt as well for giving us use of the room. Obviously for Lennon as well for giving his time. For those who do want to follow you, know things about it, where can they find you?
Instagram at _LG coaching is my Instagram handle, and same for Facebook as well.
Yeah,
Lovely. I'll tag him.
and that's literally like on social media. Don't actually go following him. That's fucking weird. As is fucking creepy. And I gotta be honest, but if he sustains an injury in order to keep you away, I will back that 100%. But yeah, cheers. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Have a good one.
Bye.